This is the Gavin Seim Show. We talk about what nobody wants to talk about. You guys probably know about the LaVoy Finicum, the Malheur refuge. Most people don't know the real story about that because the propaganda is mostly what won. But it was a completely legitimate protest against federal overreach and land rights of ranchers in particular that I supported. In fact, when I see these stories and I see the propaganda, I'm like, that's not what happened. I was there, involved in it, right? I talked to LaVoy Finicum a few days before he died. I knew Ammon Bundy and Ryan Bundy personally and all these people, most of these people. I knew them from the Bundy Ranch. And so, while most of the people that support this have now turned completely against me because I also support immigrant rights, because I don't support the fascism of the administration and the regime. So now I'm the libtard, right? But really my policies have stayed consistent. I supported the rights of the ranchers. I supported the rights of the natives, the blacks, the Latinos. I just support people being left alone. Here's the video right here from 2/11/16. There was two of these. I was the guy running the call when the FBI sieged the Malheur refuge after they murdered LaVoy Finicum. I was the one on the phone with David Fry, and the politicians were calling me to then get on and talk so that we could have a conversation with the FBI, with the people that were still in the refuge, so that no one else got killed, and no one else got killed that day. And so that was good. It was a wild couple of days that I've talked about on the channel before. But what I want to talk about today is this post here. FBI honors agents involved in LaVoy Finicum standoff with bravery medal. And here's, the guy that we're talking about? Here's the Twitter post from this scumbag Kash Patel that the regime supporters are always like, oh, he's so great, right? The regime is so great. Trump's so great. These new laws abusing people we hate is so great. It's not so great, is it, when they're spitting on the grave of our people? And I've been saying this for years. You can go back a decade, and it's been almost a decade. It's hard to believe that it's been almost a decade since they murdered LaVoy Finicum. Because barely a year and a half after that, I left the US because I didn't want them pulling the same stunt on me. And here we are with this so-called hero of the right giving these awards, right? Now, this guy they awarded, he was the guy that was actually charged because he was on the scene helping to murder LaVoy Finicum, and then he tried to hide evidence of what he had done. Okay? And so this is a 2018 article, and of course he was acquitted, right? He worked for the government. But let's look at the actual post. There's this article here, but this is what I want to zero in on, was the screenshot from them. I don't know, this looks like the official post, right? And so here's Kash Patel with this scumbag right here. Wow, that looks like a good, humble, honorable man right there, doesn't it? And these are the people, you got to understand that the so-called patriot movement, who are no longer patriots, they're absolute fed, boot-licking statists at this point. And this is why they hate me. This is why they're always saying that I need to be locked up, that I need to be extradited, that I need to come back and face justice, because they hate that I wouldn't support their faction. I said in 2016 when Trump first ran, this is a scam, you guys. This is a scam. This isn't freedom. He's not gonna be on our side. He's not gonna defend freedom. He's not gonna defend the Constitution. And the second term is worse by volumes. By volumes. Okay? But let's come back to here and see what they say. Recipients are recognized for courageous acts in the line of duty within the scope of their FBI employment. Listen to what they say about this murder. And then we'll look at the video and see what actually happened. The hostage rescue team responded to a violent extremist militia group's armed takeover of the Malheur Wildlife Refuge in Oregon in 2016. There was no violence. There was no extremism. It was a protest of the federal government's abuse and violation of the law and violation of land rights that are law, okay? Even if you didn't agree with them, they were protesting. There was no one there. That was intentional. No one was hostage. No one was hurt. There was no extremism. Okay? When the militia's leader, it wasn't really a militia. All the people are a militia, but okay. When the militia's leader and key members planned clandestinely to meet clandestinely outside the refuge, he was going to a meeting with the county sheriff. That was the clandestine meeting outside the refuge. The FBI and Oregon State Police staged a traffic stop to arrest them. The leader rammed his vehicle into the HRT vehicle, trapping S.A. John Nadart under the leader's vehicle. 2 operators freed Nadart, repositioned themselves to address further threats. The leader attempted to fire at Oregon State Police officers and was fatally shot. The HRT operators negotiated the other subject's surrender. The HRT operators didn't negotiate anything. They are a terrorist group. HRT is portrayed as a hero group that arrested hostages. These are an assassin group. These are a hitch squad. These are people who operate outside the law. And this is the problem, is if they brand people as heroes, like our police, like our uniforms, like our FBI, who are actually terrorists and criminals of the highest order of our land, engaged in the highest violations of the law. And the news repeats that, and the networks repeat that. Here we go. This is also on my channel from almost 10 years ago now. Here's the actual camera. I think I switched the audio so we don't get an echo. Here's the actual camera of what happened. You can go and watch this whole video if you want, and here's a link after we're done here. But I will does this look like what they just described?
You understand? I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You back down or you kill me now. Go ahead. Put the bullet through me.
Where do you see the violence here?
Care.
Where's Ryan?
I'm going to go meet the sheriff. You do as you damn well please.
I haven't watched this in a long time, and it's sad to watch. But this is a man who has balls. This is a man who stands up for what he believes, and not an ounce of violence.
Well, I'm going to ask them if they want to go out.
What for? Why are we getting
You want out?
What for? What are we getting
Who
out?
are you?
Does this guy look unhinged?
Who are you?
Does this cowboy look unhinged?
Who are you?
Oregon State Police.
Okay, well, I'm going over to meet the sheriff in Grant County. You'll come along with us, and you can talk with us over there.
There we go. Okay. So he leaves, right? We go through here. They talk for a while. And this guy's actually got some balls. This guy actually knows that they're outside the law.
Go get help.
And he leaves. Now they come up here, right? Remember, let's go back to that. Let's go back to their points and see if they were telling the truth. Is the press release true? Let's look at what they said again, okay, from these criminals. Here we go. Here we go. The leader rammed his vehicle into the lead HRT vehicle, trapping John under the leader's vehicle. Let's go back to the video. Yeah, at least we have video, right? Here we go.
I don't know about numbers.
Well,
Watch them coming up. They set a roadblock.
We have no service.
Okay.
No, mobile network not available.
All right, here we go.
People here in town.
Helicopter view. They're blocking the road
Okay, they're shooting.
in a corner. This guy runs in front of the vehicle. Let's do a replay. Can we do a replay on that?
Okay, they're shooting.
He runs in front of the vehicle. He swerves to avoid him. No one was hit.
Go ahead, shoot me.
No one was hit.
Damn, trying to.
Here's the guy over here. I don't see anyone trapped under a vehicle, but he literally ran in front of the vehicle after they put a roadblock on a corner. Now LaVoy jumps out because he doesn't want anyone else to get hurt. Again, no violence, no attempt at violence.
Stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down, stay down.
Shoot me.
No gun, no shooting.
Damn it, are they shooting him? Did they shoot him?
They murdered him in the snow that day in 2016 in cold blood. And the criminals that did it not only weren't convicted of a crime, they not only weren't convicted of a crime, the protesters in the end were the ones convicted of crimes. Although actually Ammon Bundy and many others were acquitted because the charges were all BS. Again, it was just a protest. It was people standing up for their rights and saying, you know what? We don't have to do this. We don't have to live like slaves where the federal government with no accountability can come and take away our heritage, our family's heritage, and our land rights just because of propaganda, just because of new regulations that they invented that violate treaties. You got to understand, I mean, they've got us pitted against each other, but the natives are saying the same thing when they're protesting because the treaties have been violated with the natives too. Go look at the Black Hills, right? Most of that region is actually native land by treaty. It shouldn't even be part of the state. It's their land by treaty, and that treaty was violated. And so the federal government has been violating land treaties since nearly the beginning of our country and abusing. And this is what happens when we think it's okay when they abuse the people we don't like, right? And if you go back, look at this. Here's what they do. People never research. People have no attention span, right? And you look at the images, you look at the stuff, the propaganda. The leader attempted to fire at Oregon State Police. Never happened. We literally have the video. It never happened. Never happened. And so they make this stuff up, and the news reporters repeat it, and the Wikipedias repeat it, and the people repeat it on social media. And this is why I keep telling you, any charge the government brings in this current kangaroo system, I don't care if it's a charge of rape. I don't care if it's a charge of murder. Like, if there's direct evidence, fine, let's have due process. But any of these charges that, and oftentimes when they want somebody to go down, they have things involving children and minors, and they make and create laws and systems and programs, and they focus and they create propaganda to make you hate these people, but they're charging them with the very things they're doing. If they charge us with attempting to fire at the police were firing at us. When they charge us with their sex crimes, it's what they're actually doing behind closed doors. Where's the list? Where's the list, right? All these things they do are crimes for us, but not for them. But the problem is the audacity of Kash Patel. The audacity of people that they're still supporting this regime. And these patriots say, no, like, we have to support Trump. He hates the Muslims like we do. He hates the immigrant like we do. This is the problem. This is why you're losing. You're losing because you don't have values. Patriotism is gone because there's no values. LaVoy had values. When LaVoy died, the Patriot movement died. It's all infighting. It's all faction. Because we said, oh, look, now a new idol will save us. And here we are still licking the boots and sucking the beep of rich and powerful politicians who tickle our ears and hate the people that we hate, when instead of hating, we're supposed to be loving freedom. We're supposed to be loving justice. We're supposed to be being kind. We're supposed to be open. We're supposed to be the United States of America, and we're not anymore. We're not a republic. We're a fascist state. We're not free. We're slaves. We don't have a constitution that's respected. We have a constitution that literally the so-called patriots are cheering as it is shredded, as families are torn apart, as concentration camps are built for people who have literally done nothing. And the same propaganda that they're writing in articles like this right here, the very same propaganda that they write these things saying, look how bad they are, look how bad they are, look what they did, illegal, immigrant, whatever they want to portray it as, whatever factions in power is always portraying. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying the left has it. When the left's in power, the farmer and the rancher is a villain. When the right's in power, the poor immigrant trying to feed his family is a villain. It's insanity. It's mental. That's what's unhinged. Unhinged is thinking people need papers to live, permission from government to travel, permission to work. Unhinged is thinking that human beings who live on this earth need permission to immigrate, live, work, and breathe. when it is the most fundamental principle of law, which is life, liberty, and property and the protection thereof, and when it is the most fundamental principle of our constitutions, not just in the United States, but in Mexico and in many places in the world, that do not give us rights, but are meant ideally to protect those rights and are subsequently shredded. Why? Because we let the Overton window widen, and we let abuses that are unthinkable become popular policy, and we let freedom-minded sensibility that is popular and sensible become radical and unthinkable. And in that world, let me be radical and unthinkable, because I will not bow down to these factions, to these lies. I continue to debunk it as I have for a decade. I continue to speak the truth about it, and they continue to call me a coward and a traitor and a criminal. And let's see what happens. Let's see what's coming. And to those of you that have been duped by this nonsense of faction and thinking it's right or left, or thinking electing the latest puppet who abuses the people that make you afraid because you lack love, because you lack self-confidence, because you lack an understanding of history, as you stand by while their families are destroyed and then say, how dare they destroy ours? I say, how dare they destroy yours or theirs, because I stand for liberty. Peace. Very well, that's what I have on tonight's show. It is another video, as always, that the algorithm will ignore, that people will call me crazy and radical for speaking. But remember, we got here because what is policy and normal became radical. And what was unthinkable became policy. Unthinkable is what's being done to people on the streets. Unthinkable is a Gestapo that arrests people without due process, without warrants, that completely ignores the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 9th, and 10th Amendments. Unthinkable is the idea that we need people or permission from government to live, when our founding fathers literally fought a revolution. And in the Declaration stated that one of the reasons they fought that revolution was not just the abuse of people's rights, the abuse of travel, the abuse of warrants, the abuse of due process. Yes, it was also the abuse of restricting immigration itself. Everything that the government now does from both parties to abuse and enslave us and make the unthinkable normal, and then policy, and then law, which is not law at all, but a violation of the fundamentals of law itself, becomes normal when you allow it to be. That is all. Okay. Well, there we go. There we go. I don't know if the memorial I think people put it back up when it's knocked down. But here's to you, LaVoy. Here's to you for having a pair of balls. If you think LaVoy Finicum would have been supporting this trash, this partisan trash of, we're winning, we voted for this, guess what? You don't have the right to vote away other people's rights. And if you do, you're the criminal. If you vote for the Gestapo, you're the Nazi. If you vote to violate and destroy the Constitution, you're the fascist. And history already has its place for you. So we'll see what happens.